What is going on, guys? My name is Kenji and welcome back to my channel. Hopefully it's not the first time that you're watching one of my videos, but in case it is, I'm a fourth year medical student studying King's College London, and in this video I'm going to take you guys through exactly how I budget for the whole entire year in university. So I'll start off by telling you guys exactly how I predict how much money I'll have to spend throughout the entire year, and secondly I'll be telling you guys exactly how I manage to stick to this budgeting schedule. I know budgeting in university can seem like quite a daunting task. Sometimes you're not entirely sure whether or not your student finance will last you throughout the year. You're not entirely sure whether your loan will be enough. And in this video, I'm going to tell you guys exactly how I predict whether or not I'll need to work a job throughout university, how much money I might need from my parents, and all of these things. And towards the second part of the video, I'll tell you guys how I manage to stick to this budgeting schedule and how I'm able to keep track of my finances day to day. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so tell me with this video, I've got my laptop here with me and I will take you guys through the exact steps that I use to start off by predicting how much money I will need based on how much money I have to live for the whole entire year through university. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is open up a Microsoft Excel sheet. What you want to do is then write down all of the months that you're trying to predict and trying to calculate for. So my normal year in university normally starts from September and finishes in June. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now. So as I said, start off by writing all of the months down. So September, October. If you don't actually do this template yourself, you can download it for free down below, but I'm going to take you guys step by step as to how I always start off by budgeting. So once that's all written down, what you want to do is then go and write down all of the types and amounts of possible income that you have. So if you have money from your parents, if you have money from your loan, from your job, from your work, all of your income needs to be written down here below so you can calculate exactly how much money will be coming into your account every single month and how much you'll have over the whole year. So as an example, I'm going to give you guys, let's say you have money from your parents, one from your loan, one from your scholarship, one from your, let's say, job. And let's say you have these four sources of income as your income. So what I'm going to do over here is to merge these cells, and I want to label that income. After you write down all of your possible sources of income, you want to then move on to writing all of your outgoings, so all of the amount of money that's taken from your account. So as an example, I always write down maintenance, so how much money actually costs to week by week and month by month to actually maintain myself. That includes things like food, clothes shopping, any sorts of travel expenses I need. All of that is in my maintenance. After maintenance, I also write down my rent. You may also want to write down your tuition fee if you pay for your tuition fees yourself. And I'm going to label that outgoings, and again merge all of the cells together. And that's basically it for me. I normally have 3 outgoings: my life maintenance, my rent, and lastly my tuition fees. And then what you want to do is add a last column for your remaining. We're going to use this column to make a quick calculation to see whether or not your incomings is enough to sustain your outgoings. So that's the basic math you need to do to know whether or not you'll have enough. But before we go on to calculate your remaining, what you want to do is then fill in all of these columns below. And this is for the entire month. So how much money does your parents give you? Let's just take a random example as £400 per month. Let's say your loan comes in on the 1st of September. Let's say it comes in as £3,000 in September, and also £3,000 in January, and as an example, £3,000 in May. Okay. If you have a scholarship, go ahead and fill that in. So let's put a random example as £800 in September and £800 in, let's say, January. And if you have a job, go ahead and put those in as well. So as a random example, let's say you work £200 per month for the entire September to June. And then fill in the rest of the columns as well. So if you have £400 coming in from your parents every month, add that as well. Of course, your loans only may come in a certain periods of the year. So put a 0 into the columns where you're not receiving any money from your loans. And again, same for scholarship. If you don't receive scholarship for the rest of the month, put 0 in there as well. Then go ahead and fill out your outgoings. So for your maintenance, let's say roughly you spend £400 a month on your daily maintenance. You know, so for your food, shopping, all of that stuff. Your rent, let's say your rent comes out in 2 installments. Let's say comes out, let's say £3,000 comes out in September. And also £3,000 comes out in February. And again, fill in zeros for the rest of the columns that you don't have that in. And lastly, put in your tuition fees. So let's say you pay tuition fees in January for £9,250. Put that in as well. And then go ahead and add zeros to the rest of the columns. So as I said, if you don't want to do this yourself, you don't want to fill in the actual table yourself, I'll include a free template down below that you can download and do it yourself and put in the numbers yourself and add the different categories yourself. So that's basically for your income and your outgoing. What we're going to do is then make the table pretty really quickly, just so it makes it very clear as to what's incoming, what's outgoings. So I want to add a light gray to that. Obviously, like, skip this step if you don't really care about it, but I really care about the aesthetics, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so now for the fun part. If you're really good at Excel, this will be really easy for you, but if you're not good at Excel, feel free to just take this step by step and really slowly, and I'll try my best to explain exactly what sort of math I'm doing here. But essentially what you're trying to do is add up your total income and minus it from your total outcome. You want to do that month to month, and what you also want to do is take any income from the following month that may be a remainder or a minus and add that onto the next month. So for example, let's say in September, if I had £200 remaining, I want to make sure that that £200 that I had saved in September also counts towards what I have in the next following month, so in October. And it definitely will make more sense once you follow my example below. So let's start off by writing equals. So as I'm sure you know in Excel, you always start off with an equal sign. You want to then write sum, meaning addition. And then you want to highlight all of the income row. So you want to write sum, all of the income row, and then do minus all of the outcome row. Minus sum, all of the outcome row. So essentially what that means is that if you add up all of the income and you minus it from all of your outgoings, you'll be left over with exactly £1,000 at the end of the month. What you then want to do is do the exact same thing that you just did now. So add up the entire row, but there is going to be a slight difference. So add up the entire row. Yeah. Again, do minus sum this whole entire row. But what you want to do is plus the following month. So I'm going to add plus and then the month before, and close the bracket and click enter. So essentially again what that did is that it added up the total income for this month, minus it from the total outgoings of this month, and what it did is that it added on the previous savings from the month before. This works the same way if, let's say, you were negative in September and you wanted to see whether you'll have enough the next month. It also takes into account the negative if you do happen to go negative in the following month. Once you're done with that, you want to then apply this to the whole entire row. And that's literally it. That's the magical tool that I use. So to kind of explain the numbers to you guys. So in September, I'll be left off with £1,000 after totaling my total income and minus it from my total outgoings. For the next month, including what I had left over in September, I'm left over with £1,200 in October. In January, I'm actually negative £3,650. And as you can see, for the rest of the entire year, I'm negative, right up until the end of June, where I'm minus £2,650. So obviously this is a random example, but what this shows me is that I need to make some changes. If I know that this is definitely my income and I know this is definitely my outgoings, if I continue to live the same way that I do without any more income, by January I'll be completely broke and I'll be negative, and by the end of June I'll still continue to be negative. So what this allows me to do is to think about the future. It makes me think about, okay, do I maybe need to work more? Do I need to increase my income by maybe getting a job, ask my parents for more money? It lets me play around with the numbers. So for example, if I thought, you know what, I need more money for my parents, I could increase this to, let's say, £600. Apply that to the rest of the row. And as you can see, that's affected my total final number. And this hasn't really helped that much because I still go negative in January, and by the end of June, I'm still negative. So what I would do in this case, if I was stuck in this situation, is I would then go ahead and maybe find a job and make a new column here for my job and write down exactly how much I think I'll be earning. Press enter and see exactly what the maths will do and see whether or not I'll end up having enough money to last me throughout the entire year. So what I do every single year is continue to play with all these numbers, you know, add some income here, take out some outgoings. If I think that maybe my outgoings for maintenance is too much, I'll try and live a bit more frugally and lower the numbers for maintenance, and then play around with the numbers until I reach this time where I'm happy, where I'm not negative and I have enough money to sustain me for the entire year. But let's take the example where £400 of maintenance was exactly enough and I didn't go negative and all of this equations worked out, which I'm sure you'll finally reach if you play around with the numbers yourself. What I'm going to take from this is say that, okay, with these numbers, £400 is enough to last me the entire month in terms of my maintenance. Then what I need to do is take this £400, take this value that you've come up with and actually use it to budget for the rest of the year, month by month and week by week. If I say that, let's say £400 is enough to last me for the entire year and it doesn't make me negative in my finances, I'm allowed to spend around £100 per week for my living costs. And in order to make sure that I don't go over this budget and I don't go over the £100 per week budget I set for myself, I then go on to budgeting day by day, which is going to be the second part of this video. So stick around for the next part to find out how I do this. Okay, so for the next part of the video, we're going to be talking about how I actually managed to budget day by day using the value that I gave myself in the last part of the video. So let's say, as a random example, as I mentioned, I have £100 to last me per week, and that's a number that I need to make sure I meet, or else I'll go negative. What I'm going to do is put away my laptop and bring out my phone for this next part of the video. Yeah, grab my phone here. My advice on actually budgeting month by month is two things. The first thing is to download a budgeting app, and I want to show you guys exactly the app that I use to budget month by month. And the second thing is to use a bank like Monzo, which is what I use, in order to make sure that your finances are exactly as you plan. So what I would personally recommend is to download an app. The app that I use is iSaveMoney. iSaveMoney is a really good app. This video is not sponsored at all, by the way. This is a random app that I've chosen and used. But iSaveMoney is essentially an app that allows you to budget all of your expenses. So let's say, as I mentioned, let's say I have £100 per week and I need to meet the £100 per week. What I'll do is I'll go onto iSave and I'll actually add £100 per week or £400 per month in my budget. And then what I do day to day is that, let's say I go to Tesco's and I go to shops and I buy, let's say £30 worth of food shopping. What I'll do is I'll add an expense here, and it'll calculate and minus exactly the amount I spent in the shop. And I don't just use this for food shopping. I use this for absolutely everything that I spend money on. And what the app does is that it does the maths automatically for you, and it adds up everything you spend for the whole entire month and minuses it against the money that you budgeted. So that's essentially the app that I use to keep track of all of my expenses and make sure that I'm not going overboard and going into my negatives. The next thing that I use that is really helpful, and I do suggest you use, is an app like Monzo. For those of you that don't know, Monzo is essentially an online bank that sends you a card. So I have a normal bank card and I make all of my purchases with this bank account. And the really good thing about Monzo is that it tracks everything you spend and gives you a notification for everything that you spend. So let's say again, I go to shops and I spend £30 in Sainsbury's or Tesco's. It'll send a notification straight to my phone and remind me that I just spent £30 in that shop. What I really like is that I'll be able to go home and I'll have a notification on my phone saying that I spent a certain amount of money, and I won't swipe away that notification until I put that into my budgeting app. And that's why I really like something like Monzo, is that it makes it really hard for you to forget how much you spent. Monzo is only something I decided to use in medical school, but before I had Monzo, I would honestly lose track of all my expenses, lose track of all the money I spent, and it'd make it really hard to catch up with all of the money that I spent throughout the whole entire week. Like sometimes I'd sit down for 5 minutes and try and remember from my brain all the money I spent, where I spent it, how much it cost. Monzo is just so much easier because it gives you a notification of exactly how much you spent, exactly where it was, and always reminds you to put it into your normal budgeting app, which is why I really like Monzo. So that is essentially how I budget in university. It's exactly what I use year by year to make sure that I have enough money to sustain me throughout the entire year. I really hope it's helped you guys and has really been informative for you guys. If it has done, please make sure to give it a like and make sure you're subscribed and turn on the notification bell as well. If you like these videos about finances and how to manage them, please make sure you leave a comment down below and let me know that you like it so I can make some more of these and leave some suggestions as to what you'd like to see in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.